Prime Minister Modi, who's on a two-day visit to Brunei, is currently meeting a delegation there. We have live visuals coming in of his meeting with the Sultan of Brunei. On his visit to the Southeast Asian nation, the focus has actually been on trade, on culture, on tech, on gas and oil, as well as energy. In fact, the Prime Minister is meeting the Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah, the ruler of Brunei, at his official residence. That's located near Brunei's capital. And where they are meeting, it's the world's largest residential palace. And it has also been registered in the Guinness World Records as the world's largest palace. The Prime Minister in Brunei there, as you can see, live shots coming in of our External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar as well. This is a historic visit, as this is the first time an Indian Prime Minister has touched down in Brunei. Right, the Prime Minister is currently meeting officials, and the focus is currently on space, healthcare, defense and tech. I must inform you that even though Brunei has a significant population of about a small population, it has a footprint of Indians that amounts to around 14,000. So there are about 14,000 Indians who call Brunei home. They have significantly contributed not just to the healthcare sector, but they have also contributed significantly to the education sector. In fact, Indians are celebrated there for their significant contributions, and their contributions have also been acknowledged over the years. The first ever bilateral trip by an Indian Prime Minister to Brunei. Now, earlier as well, our Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had been to Brunei, but that was not for a bilateral visit. It was either to attend conferences like the ASEAN. In fact, Mr. Hamid Ansari has also touched down in the Southeast Asian nation. But this is the first bilateral visit by an Indian Prime Minister. He is on a two-day visit to Brunei, and after this, he will be heading to Singapore for the next 24 hours. My colleague Mohammed Ghazali has been tracking this visit very closely. He joins us at the moment. Ghazali, take us through what's happening at the moment.
See, the Prime Minister is now meeting the Sultan of Brunei at his palace now, and after this meeting, the Prime Minister is meeting Sultan Haji Hassan Al Bolkiah, who is the Sultan of Brunei right now, at his royal palace. And after that, the Prime Minister will also be holding the bilateral talks. That's the most important part, where all the issues of India's cooperation with Brunei in all existing sectors, including defense cooperation, trade and investment, energy, space technology, health cooperation, capacity building, culture, and people-to-people exchanges, and explore avenues for cooperation in newer sectors is what will be the focus of these talks. And we have already reiterated that how Brunei is an important partner in India's active policy and Indo-Pacific vision. Also, the Indian Prime Minister or the Indian government is looking to diversify its reliance when it comes to energy needs, and that is why Brunei is also very important. In the key area of maritime security, India-Brunei's cooperation is seen as part of security and growth for all in the region, which is also called Sagar Vision of India. And Brunei presents investment opportunities, particularly in enhancing its deep water Muara port, which could offer India the geostrategic and geoeconomic benefits. The Prime Minister's visit or the meetings today will also bolster the bilateral trade, defense and cultural exchanges. Why the cultural exchanges or the Indian diaspora is important there? Because we know it's a tiny nation with around 4 to 5 billion population and million population, and out of that around 14,000 are Indians who are holding notable positions in notable professions. So that is why this entire meeting today, the bilateral talks will be focusing on multiple areas, because this is the first diplomatic visit by an Indian Prime Minister or a bilateral visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Brunei. Brunei happens to be also one of the partners from where we are importing hydrocarbon. Also, India is looking forward that in years to come Brunei may happen to be one of our sources for energy needs. And the MEA or the External Affairs Ministry had issued a statement saying that perhaps Brunei could be a partner in providing us natural gas in future. So all these areas, be it the space technology, be it energy sector, be it defense cooperation, and other sectors like education, people-to-people exchanges, would be the focus of this meeting, which the Prime Minister will be undertaking after this meet.
Right, this visit is amid 40 years of India-Brunei ties. Ghazali, also after the Prime Minister wraps up his meeting with the Sultan of Brunei, take us through his agenda for Singapore as well.
So after this meeting, the Prime Minister will be planning for Singapore, and why that visit is more important. Both the visits are important, and see, there is a difference between both the countries, because Singapore happens to be the largest source of our FDI in the last financial year. It's also our largest trading partner as far as ASEAN is concerned, while Brunei happens to be the country, an ASEAN partner, which gives us the lowest FDI. So the Prime Minister is visiting both the countries. When it comes to Singapore, the relevance is that Singapore has huge Indian diaspora. Besides that, we have very close cooperation with Singapore in multiple areas, and this time around, after this visit of Prime Minister, perhaps our comprehensive strategic partnership is going to be the level of our cooperation with Singapore. And besides this, we'll have talks about defense cooperation. The visit of Prime Minister also comes just a week after we had the ministerial roundtable dialogue between India and Singapore, when three ministers from India, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, External Affairs Minister Mr. Jaishankar, as well as Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Trade Minister Piyush Goyal. They visited last week to Singapore to hold dialogues with their counterparts in Singapore, and this visit was on the card. So Prime Minister will only going to bolster our entire partnership with Singapore, which is already very strong, to yet another level, and we are going to see much more deeper cooperation between India and Singapore when it comes to multiple sectors.
Right, well, India has been vocal, and the MEA said they'd like to have a more predictable hydrocarbon supplies with longer-term contracts from Brunei, especially in the area of gas. But Ghazali, bilateral trade between both our countries, it witnessed a close to $330 million dip from 2021. This was obviously against the backdrop of India actually sourcing oil from Russia and less from Brunei. Has that ruffled any feathers there?
Yeah, so that was that is one particular area which saw the dip, because India was purchasing oil from Russia, and to revive that entire trade with Brunei when it comes to the oil or natural gas purchase from Brunei, this visit is very critical, because India wants to revive that trade with Brunei. And why this is happening? Because when it comes to defense or energy needs of India, we have been diversifying our partners. We used to rely on one partner in Europe, like we have Russia, from where our defense purchases used to happen. We diversified towards Germany, US, even UK. But now when it comes to energy needs, India also wants to have partners in the closer neighborhood in Asia. And that is why Brunei is very important when it comes to energy needs. We have seen the kind of criticism India was facing, or the scrutiny India was facing when India developed close relations with Russia, though MEA says that it's our own standing, whether West likes it or not. But despite all this, India also wants to have more partners in the Asian region, in the immediate neighborhood, when it comes to energy and defense sector. So that is why Brunei, the visit of Prime Minister today, the bilateral talks he will be having with the head of the Sultan of Brunei today, will be focusing on these sectors, be it energy, defense, space technology, and other sectors as well.
Right, crucial areas to focus on. Well, after ascending to the throne in August 1968, the Sultan actually achieved several development milestones and has built diplomatic relations, like being part of ASEAN and UN. But this monarch is most prominently actually known for his wealthy lifestyle and uber luxurious possessions. You have probably seen the clickbait headlines flashing the 7,000 luxury cars, a gold-plated jet, and a palace with 1,700 rooms captured. Well, as per reports, the Sultan of Brunei's total net worth is about $30 billion, with most of his money coming from oil reserves and natural gas. Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah's car collection, meanwhile, has been making headlines. And why not? It's absolutely insane. He actually owns 7,000 luxury cars, valued at around 341 billion rupees. Obviously, those headlines in India have everyone peeling their eyes. His fleet actually includes 600 Rolls Royces and 300 Ferraris. And I must inform you that in the 90s, the Bolkiah family bought nearly half of all the Rolls Royces sold worldwide. Actually, the world's largest private car collection is owned by the Sultan of Brunei. He holds an official Guinness World Record for his Rolls Royce cars, in particular with 500 of the luxury cars, part of his overall collection. But some sources have said there are now 600 cars in his collection. He also got a custom-designed Rolls Royce featuring an open roof to accommodate the umbrella on top of the car. Naturally, the car was decked in gold plating from the grille to the tires. Also, as per reports, the Sultan of Brunei dropped $400 million on a Boeing 747. You heard that right. $400 million. He splurged an extra $120 million on accessories, including a gold wash basin. And get this, he even gifted his daughter an Airbus A340 for her birthday. Talk about living large. Living large actually takes us to the mansion that the Prime Minister and the Sultan are in at the moment. That mansion that they are meeting in is made out of gold. Some call it the ultimate royal residence. The Sultan of Brunei's palace spans actually a staggering 2 million square feet and holds the Guinness World Record as the largest palace in the world. Its dome is adorned with 22-carat gold, and the palace is valued at over 2,500 crore rupees. Inside that palace where that meeting is taking place, you'll find more than 1,700 rooms, more than 250 bathrooms, 5 swimming pools, 110 garages, and even air-conditioned stables for 200 horses. But it does not end just here. Hassan Al Bolkiah's visitors can also find pleasure in the Sultan's private zoo, which actually houses roughly 30 Bengal tigers, we're told. And the zoo is also home to birds including flamingos, falcons that can sing, talk, ride bicycles, play basketball, and also impersonate other animals. Bolkiah, though, has not lost his love for extravagance. He reportedly still often spends about $20,000 on a single haircut as he flies out his go-to barber from London's Dorchester Hotel in Mayfair. But after ascending to the throne in August 1968, his zest for life, many say, remains. He has achieved several developmental milestones and has built diplomatic relations, like being part of ASEAN and UN. In fact, our Prime Minister is currently speaking. Listen in to what he's saying currently.
आज भी भारत के लोग बहुत गौरव के साथ याद करते हैं। योर मैजेस्टी, मुझे अत्यंत खुशी है कि मुझे अपने तीसरे कार्यकाल की शुरुआत में ही ब्रुनेई की यात्रा करने का और आपसे भविष्य के विषय में चर्चा करने का सौभाग्य मिला है। यह भी सुखद संयोग है कि इस वर्ष हम द्विपक्षीय साझेदारी की 40वीं वर्षगांठ मना रहे हैं। भारत की एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी और इंडो पैसिफिक विजन में ब्रुनेई का महत्वपूर्ण साझेदार होना ये हमारे लिए उज्जवल भविष्य की गारंटी है। हम एक दूसरे की भावनाओं का सम्मान करते हैं। मुझे विश्वास है कि मेरी इस यात्रा से और हमारी चर्चाओं से आने वाले समय के लिए हमारे संबंधों को स्ट्रैटेजिक दिशा मिलेगी। एक बार फिर इस अवसर पर मैं आपका हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। योर मैजेस्टी, आपके भावपूर्ण शब्द, गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत और आतिथ्य सत्कार के लिए मैं आपको और पूरे शाही परिवार का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। सबसे पहले मैं आपको और ब्रुनेई के लोगों को आजादी की 40वीं वर्षगांठ पर 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों की तरफ से हार्दिक बधाई देता हूं। योर मैजेस्टी, हमारे सदियों पुराने सांस्कृतिक संबंध है। हमारी मित्रता का आधार हमारी यह महान सांस्कृतिक परंपरा है। आपके नेतृत्व में हमारे संबंध दिनों दिन प्रगाढ़ होते रहे हैं। 2018 में हमारे गणतंत्र दिवस पर मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में आपकी भारत यात्रा की स्मृतियां आज भी भारत के लोग बहुत गौरव के साथ याद करते हैं। योर मैजेस्टी, मुझे अत्यंत खुशी है कि मुझे अपने तीसरे कार्यकाल की शुरुआत में ही ब्रुनेई की यात्रा करने का और आपसे भविष्य के विषय में चर्चा करने का सौभाग्य मिला है। यह भी सुखद संयोग है कि इस वर्ष हम द्विपक्षीय साझेदारी की 40वीं वर्षगांठ मना रहे हैं। भारत की एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी और इंडो पैसिफिक विजन में ब्रुनेई का महत्वपूर्ण साझेदार होना ये हमारे लिए उज्जवल भविष्य की गारंटी है। हम एक दूसरे की भावनाओं का सम्मान करते हैं। मुझे विश्वास है कि मेरी इस यात्रा से और हमारी चर्चाओं से आने वाले समय के लिए हमारे संबंधों को स्ट्रैटेजिक दिशा मिलेगी। एक बार फिर इस अवसर पर मैं आपका हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
तो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने बधाई दी।
Well, the Prime Minister's historic visit coincides with the 40th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic ties between India and Brunei. The Prime Minister and the Sultan have engaged in bilateral discussions focusing on areas of cooperation, especially in the areas of defense, trade, energy, investment, space technology and health. In fact, the two nations are expected to sign several MOUs in a short while, and after lunch, our Prime Minister will actually depart for Singapore. Upon his arrival there, the Prime Minister will meet members of the Indian community before being hosted for dinner by his counterpart, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, in Singapore. The Prime Minister is on a two-nation Southeast Asia visit, but it is the first ever bilateral visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Brunei, even though in the past we've had former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and our former President Hamid Ansari touch down in Brunei. This is the first bilateral visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the Southeast Asian nation. After this, he heads to Singapore.